Please, can we have your key takeaway from the last class? Mr. Nick Yediokompo. Wow, no one is speaking. So I think you can even make use of this call as attendance for today. So we know those who are in class. Let me call on Mr. Sheon Joseph. Can we have your key takeaway from the last class? Mr. Sheon Joseph, your key takeaway from the firefighting equipment maintenance class. I hope I'm audible enough because no one can hear me.
Yes, you are.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Joseph. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, welcome, sir.
All right. The last class we talked about that's FMMC 20 cost 23, firefighting equipment maintenance. It has so much to do with the safety and the safety of our facilities and how that our safety equipment is being administered for the purpose of keeping our facility safe. We talk about the fire triangle, or what was that thing? Yes, I think fire triangle. Talk about the oxygen, fuel, and heat. That are the three key elements that ignites fire or that causes fire, as it were. And we talk about how that proper fire prevention plan has to be carried out, inspection schedule of our fire equipment, maybe on monthly or annual basis. And specifically, we talk about how that the maintenance of or the servicing of our fire equipment in our facilities should be maybe biannually. Like in my facility, it's we do that every 6 months. And it was actually a reawakening to the fact that the aspects of firefighting and fire maintenance or safety in the facility is equally as important as every other part of facility management. And for me, I'm always wondering how that we'll be spending so much on fire extinguishers and servicing and all of that. And in the last 2, 3, 4 years, I can't remember fighting any fire. But those things are actually basic. And then there is also the part of the government, what have you, in keeping, all of those equipment and all of those procedures in the facility and all of that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sheon Joseph, for that key takeaway from the last class. I think we can have 1 or 2 more takeaway before Engineer Kolapo takes over the class. So let me call on Irabokim. Please, can we have your key takeaway from the last class? Irabokim, are you there? Okay, seems Irabo is not in class. Let me call on Mr. Femi Oyeleke. Please, can we have your key takeaway from the last class on firefighting equipment maintenance? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Femi Oyeleke is my name, as you have rightly mentioned. During the last class, our lecturer or facilitator took us through the introductory part of it, what firefighting equipment entails. He told us about the basic principles of fire, like the sources of fire, what and what could ignite fire in terms of fuel, oxygen, as well as temperature. So from there, he moved to giving us what culminates to oxygen, what could trigger heat, as well as impact of temperature.
Yes, okay.
Interestingly, again, we were made to understand the meaning of firefighting preparedness, and also basic strategic actions for firefighting preparedness. I think from there we move to fire extinguishers, how we can inspect them, and the types of fire extinguishers that we have. And just like my colleague just mentioned, the legal requirements or the basic rationale of having fighting arrangements or working towards prevention of fire in our facilities. It may not necessarily be that we are experiencing it on a monthly or yearly basis, but the fact that there are legal requirements for every development or facilities to put in place. So our facilitator also mentioned that and made us to understand various legal requirements in various countries that actually that are in place in terms of fire protection and working towards it in every facility. If I can remember again, it took us through testing and maintenance of our fire equipment. Thank you, Ma.
Right. That was an excellent takeaway. Well done, Mr. Femi Oyeleke. Do you have anyone else who would like to give us his or her key takeaway from the last class before Engineer Kolako takes over the mic now? Please just feel free to mute your mic and let's have a contribution. Thank you. Okay, so it seems there's really no other contribution. Over to you, Sir Engineer Kolako. Welcome, sir.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. And how's been your day
Good
today?
evening, sir. Fine, thanks,
Good
sir.
evening, sir.
Okay. Good evening. How are you, sir? Okay. I suppose we are all good. Okay. So this afternoon, we're going to be looking at emergency preparedness and, of course, the business continuity plan or planning. So if I may ask, can anyone tell us what an emergency means, what the word emergency means? So when we say there is an emergency, when we say there is an emergency situation, what does it mean? In a minute, please. You can unmute your mic and just tell us. What is an emergency? Or what does an emergency situation mean to you?
Hello, sir.
Anyone, please.
From my own layman point of view, I want to see an emergency
Please go ahead.
I want to see an emergency situation as an occurrence that one does not prepare for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other person, please? So if there is a situation you are not prepared for, is it an emergency? Tell me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think emergency is a serious, unexpected, and often dangerous situation requiring requiring immediate action. So it's kind of like a situation where you need to take action like almost instantly, like almost immediately.
You need to respond or react, kind of. Okay. Another person, what is an emergency? Or what's an emergency situation? Unplanned, unwanted, unexpected, yes.
Okay, I think for me, it's not really that is unplanned. But it can be also your plan, but I think it just that require immediate attention, like quick response.
Okay.
It's just okay. like for example, when we talk about fire incident. So when it happens, it doesn't mean that there wasn't backup plan, there wasn't question for the occurrence, but it's just that it needs a quick response.
Okay. So can we then agree that to every emergency there must be a quick or instant response or reaction?
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Does it also mean that when there is an emergency, it also indicate a loss of control? Or let me put it this way: when there is an emergency, does it mean that there is a deviation from normal operations?
Yeah.
Okay, Baraka, can you move on with the slides? No, so if you want to know about me, you can check me on LinkedIn. My name is Kolapo Bolade. All right. So you can have a view of what I do or what I've been doing over the few years in the industry. So when we're in this class this afternoon is to turn. So I want us to have this mindset to turn the table. We want to move an emergency situation from the reactive mode. We want to move emergency from lagging into a leading indicator. We want to let me calm down. We want to move an emergency situation from a point where we react to it to a point where we plan for it. We want to move a so-called emergency situation from a point when we have loss of control to a point where we have control over loss. So there is a loss of control, LOC, and there is a control over loss, COL. So we want to move the emergency, whatever method we are using, whether it is a bow tie, whatever it is, we want to move it from a point where we are helpless to a point where we are prepared for that negative outcome and we act accordingly. Let me give you an instance. If there is maybe if any one of us is a zookeeper, so maybe maybe in the house we've got some dogs and we know whether it is German Shepherd or whatever. We know that okay, we have a little baby, a little child in the house, and at the same time we have this in quotes this pet called dog or German Shepherd or whatever type of brand of dog that we have. It is imperative for us to know that there could be a day or date when maybe the keeper, the dog keeper, the owner of the dog is not around, and that dog may actually, in quotes, walk out of normal operation, misbehave, and might attack the little child that we have in the house. So as someone that owns both or that has under his custody both situation where you have a dog and you have a baby in the same house. So the question is that how do we ensure that the dog does not bite the baby Or how do we ensure that the baby does not go to meet the dog? All right. So there are situations where we need to be in full control by typically emphasizing what can go wrong, by typically thinking that, okay, one day this dog might misbehave and might bite this baby, or one day this baby might wander out of the house and go close to the dog's cage. So in that kind of situation, what reaction do we expect? All right. So if the dog bites the baby, already there's an emergency. All right. Even though maybe the dog is vaccinated and what have you, already there is an emergency. Okay. So we're then asking ourselves, how do we prevent that emergency from happening? How do we prepare for the emergency so that even if it happens, we can recover in time? Emergency preparedness is both strategic and managerial in terms of function. Strategic when we talk of planning, managerial when we talk of operations, so day-to-day management, day-to-day oversight of that situation, of the outcome of the situation. But the strategic part is saying that can we forecast? Can I have people in this room that can predict? Do I have people in this room that can say, okay, because of our activities, there is possibility or probability of having maybe fire incidents, flood incidents, theft incidents, what again, medical collapse of personnel, what again, maybe flooding, what again, exposure to wind, what again, maybe car accidents, vehicular accidents, all right? What again, kidnapping, what again, banditry and armed robbery, what again? So we need to sit here and think, we need to be open-minded and think far and wide. Don't think near. Think widely and broadly, and ask yourself, in what we do, in the activities that my company, undertake, what can go wrong? I read in the news, I think, was it on Monday, that around 2 a.m. Along Ijebu Ode, I think Ijebu Ode, yeah, road, as if you're going to the east-west, as if you're going to, to the east. I think around 2 a.m., if I can recall, around 2 a.m., some bandits actually stopped an Ifechinachi long bus, and of course they attacked the people around 2 a.m. Of course, they attacked the people and they set the bus ablaze, set the bus on fire. So I asked myself, if I happen to be the fleet manager or, a actor in Ifechinachi, what will I do differently? And those are the questions we need to ask ourselves, all right? We don't need to wait for something to happen to you before you take action. In the last class, I told you about near misses. I think in the HSC class, I told you about near misses. Near misses are just free lessons. There are situations that give you free opportunity to investigate and do something rightly and correct whatever you're doing. Same thing with accident or incidents that happen to other companies, other organizations. So when you hear that, oh, there was a fire incident at Mandilas, what you should ask yourself is that, can this fire incident also happen to us? If yes, is there anything we are doing differently to either mitigate, stop that fire at the point or on the floor that it has started from? Or, how do we bring in the fire service on time? Maybe you've heard that, oh, it took about 2 hours for the fire service guys to come. Then you should be asking yourself, how do you, shorten that 2 hours to maybe 15 minutes if fire outbreak happens in your own organization? What do you need to do differently? If you work as fleet manager for efficiency operations in Nigeria, what would you have done differently to prevent, the attack by bandits? Do you want to have, escorted night movement? Do you want to have strategic checkpoints? Of course, in collaboration with the police and militia and the military guys, strategic checkpoints along the route, which of course will cost some money. All right. You want to cancel night trip altogether. All right. Do you want to conduct area survey, maybe through the unmanned, air vehicles, your UAV, prior to departure? What are those things you want to do differently? You want to have a camera that can actually relate what is happening 50 meters ahead? I don't know. You want to, engage other, or collaborate with other, night fleet providers for night trips, night journey, and you then have a formidable front in terms of security measures along your route. What is that thing that you want to do differently? And emergency preparedness is now saying that at a strategic point, at that point of planning, you need to be able to predict, to forecast, to see ahead of time what can go wrong. That is strategic. And break this down using your PDCA cycle, the dynamic cycle, the plan, do, check, and act cycle to create managerial tasks or functions, so that at the end of the day, you have an operational framework that can help you identify, I've used the word identify the other time, track, document, and of course, put preventative measures, mitigative measures in place, such that even when the incident happens, you can recover on time. Emergency preparedness is not about carrying fire extinguisher. Emergency preparedness is not about reacting. We can also make it proactive by being able to identify what can go wrong, the potential hazards on time, and have a detailed plan for this. If you check this page that we're showing you, there are a lot of emergencies that can happen in the workplace and even at home. From the chemical spill, if your facility is in a place like either Benue or Niger State, then maybe dam break, or dam overflow can be something you need to worry about. Cyber attack from Mosh Poppy and his team. Drought or famine, especially if you're in the north. Earthquake will not common in this space, but if you're in Taiwan, it's the largest earthquake happened in Taiwan about just 3 days ago. And we're here in Nigeria, complaining about heat and what have you. So if you're in some locations, then earthquake may be real. Electrical blackout may not be something, something major, may not be a big deal in Nigeria, right? But if you work in some industries or some sectors, electrical blackout is a serious issue. It's an emergency. You can't be managing a hotel and suites, and then you have the F13 as an FM. And first man have to say, "Oh, we lost our generator, we lost our power station," or you even lose a substation. How? Yes, by design, engineering design, we would have done layer of protection, which means that there will be redundancy, there will be overcapacity for what the facility really needs, such that if you lose a generator or if you lose a substation, we can quickly, transfer the load onto another substation, or we can put on, another generator and we'll be fine, right? In some industries, blackout is a no-no, e.g. hospitality industry and hotel is a no-no. You can't be hosting an event in a major hall and then there is blackout and all you can say is that we want to go and quickly get generator. I don't understand. If you like sweat blood, nobody's going to forgive you for that. Even in the manufacturing industry, we're running production and there is blackout. Don't worry. We're going to explain at the end of the year when we're having the the appraiser sessions. All right. So there are some industries where we don't forgive some basic things, if they happen. Forest fire, maybe Amazon fire, that'll be in Brazil. Here in Nigeria, it will be called bush burning. We won't call it forest fire, all right? Bush burning, right? Then major water main break. So you can't be working an hospitality um, um, organization or outfit. You can't be in an hotel. You can't manage an hotel or a major office complex, and all of a sudden the taps run dry. Your tap cannot run dry. Is a sin. It's not even an offense. It's a sin for you to have tap run dry as an FM, in an hotel or in the hospitality sector, or even in an hospital. All right. So there's things depending on the industry where you work, and of course the sensitivity of the issues or popularity of the issues, around you. There are some things that cannot be forgiven, and you must ensure that you guard against them, right? So there are a lot of things that can happen. Even water pollution, water shortage, water pollution. You can't work in the industry, maybe in a beverage company, and the caustic soda that you guys have used to wash the reusable glass then flows or finds its way out of your wastewater treatment plant. Maybe because the wastewater plant is not functional. Then the polluted water finds its way out of your facility into a nearby stream. God help you that you're in Abuja or Lagos. You'll be so fined, by the appropriate regulators or regulatory bodies, right? So what we're saying is that you need to sit back, look at this page we're showing you now, and ask yourself, is there anything relevant to my company, to my industry, and of course, to my day-to-day, operation? Is there anything that, if it happens, is going to impact me? If the answer is yes, I will say welcome to class. If the answer is no, just sit back and let's see whether there is something that will eat you, that will make you then consider, such thing as, an emergency. An emergency is something you didn't plan, something you don't want, something that will take even your resource, time, energy, money, and what have you, and result in a deviation from normal operations, from normal sequence. You drive from Lagos to Ibadan through the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, passing through Shagam interchange, right? And you get to Ibadan, normal operation. Then you hear that there is kidnapping activity on that route, and you still want to come to Ibadan. You then made a turn off and you went to pass Abeokuta back to Ibadan. It's not that you've not gotten to where you want to get to, but there was a disruption to normal flow, a disruption to your normal operation, all right? And that is something you need to emphasize. Imagine you are lonely on that road and you don't even know your way around except Lagos, Ibadan. No, that's direct, that's straight road. I stand to be corrected. One of the best things you would do is to turn back to where you're coming from. Otherwise, you may then get into even bigger troubles. Knowing another route outside your normal route is an emergency plan, because it only means that it has crossed your heart that one day this road may not be accessible, and yet you want to get to your destination. Of course, not in time, but within the shortest possible time. Then you take the other route. So we're saying that you need to be prepared for type of emergency, and you have to be ready to respond. You have to save lives, properties, and support a return to normalcy, to normal operation as soon as possible. That's emergency preparedness, right? It is slightly different from business continuity. Because in business continuity, we are looking at how you want to either maintain or recover, from the disruption, and basically during and after the issue. Emergency preparedness is proactive, is before the incident will happen. Business continuity is reactive, is during and after the incident has happened. So don't confuse it. When we say you should prepare for an emergency, we're saying we should prepare ahead and we've come together to put a plan in place. Then we say that the planning committee, all right, should comprise of people from different departments because you need different resources. From the HR, from the finance, the public affairs guys, the legal guys, your production and operations guys, yourselves as facility manager, if possible, your landlord and your tenant, depending on what it is. Okay? Any questions so far? Or should I continue? Okay, let me continue then.
Yes, you can continue, sir.
All right, next slide. So we're saying that as a competent facility manager, you must be able to participate and in some cases lead, depending on your maturity in this space, in this field. All right, the emergency preparedness program of your company, you must be able to develop the risk management plan. You must be able to put together the emergency management plan, procedure, the measure of success, and of course, the tools that will be required. And in fact, equipment that you might also need for those emergency recovery. You must be able to oversee emergency drills or simulation exercise. All right. You must be able to ensure that there is security of the system, the service, and the people. You must be able to, contribute based on your experience, to the business continuity program of the company. And in contributing, it may mean that you may even need to develop the business continuity plan and as well as the disaster recovery plan. You must be able to prioritize the resources required. You must be able to, identify the necessary steps or protocols that is required to initiate to implement the emergency management plan. And like I said, the metrics must be clear. The objectives must be smart. And nowadays, we don't talk of objective being smart. We say objective must be smarter, right? There is no point if your objective is smart and you are not enjoying the objective, neither are you, getting a reward from that objective. Objectives must be smarter. That means they must be specific, they must be measurable, they must be achievable, they must be realistic. Those objectives must be time-bound. Those objectives must be enjoyable. All right? It's something that you want to do. And likewise, they must be rewarding, whether financial or in terms of recognition. That, or when you achieve a milestone, when you achieve your objective, you must be recognized or rewarded, or both. And when I say reward, I mean gratification, I mean compensation. Very clear. And when I say recognition, it may just be an induction into the Hall of Fame for the month. It may be as simple as a handshake from the MD. It may be a thank you letter or note from your manager. It doesn't need to be something. It may just be your picture at the entrance of the facility. All right? what we are saying is that you need to be able to have metrics, things, or a method or a means of measuring your goals and to evaluate properly the emergency management program and, of course, the business contingency plan. Next slide. Now, depending on the maturity of the organization, FM has different role to play. I said, depending on the maturity of the organization, so if the company is not aware, there's no plan, there's no budget, the only thing an FM can do is to ensure facility compliance with local regulation. This is what IFMA has recommended. That if, as an organization, your experience with emergency planning EP and business continuity BC is poor, such that there is no plan, there is no budget, no money is allocated for emergency planning. All right. So even to service fire extinguisher, there's no money. That's not a problem. All you can do as an FM is to look for the local regulations. What does the law says? And put that forward to the management for them to comply with. 2, if there's some level of awareness such that there's little planning, integration, with the budget. So nobody's going to tell you that this is a ZBB, the zero-based budget. They're saying that, yes, we want to save money, but because of emergency, we can't have a zero budget. So we're looking at, okay, servicing the fire extinguisher once in a year instead of twice a year. Yes, that is possible. I heard someone say the other time that fire has not happened in his facility before. All right. So we can say, okay, can we service 50% of the fire extinguishers twice a year and the other 50%, once a year? So what do you mean? If you have 10 fire extinguishers in January, we're going to service 5 out of 10 in June. So we call that batch A. Then we service the remaining 5 in December. We call that batch B. And with the hope, of course, this should come with a critique, with good analysis of the hazard we are sitting on or the risks we are facing. But with the hope that even if the batch A that we did not service, do not work in case of emergency, the remaining 5 that we have serviced will work. All right. So you have serviced batch A, you didn't service batch B, and there is fire in, say, July. No, you service batch A in June. So that means that should work. In quote, the ones you did not service may not work. Right. And that could be your own strategy. All right. But you can't embark on that kind of strategy without doing a risk assessment. So we're saying that it should be risk-based assessment, or what API call risk-based inspection. All right. So it should be something that is based on the risk assessment and not just on your feeler, on the way you feel. No. It should be based on what we do. All right. You may look at it and say, okay, you have some extinguishers somewhere, some locations. But the honest truth is that those locations, in quotes, are low risk locations. So if you have 3 extinguishers there, you may be thinking, okay, because of the budget we have, should we service just 1 and leave the other 2 on service? But again, this is solely your responsibility. And if it goes wrong, you cannot blame anybody for that, including myself. So we're saying that if there's some awareness, you need to identify and manage facility risks through prevention and mitigation. I can't overflog that. However, if there is growing awareness, so that we have identified processes and plans. Then, as the FM, you need to lead your organization in identifying those essential processes and need to develop a contingency plan. Contingency plan is just a plan in case something goes wrong. All right. And finally, if your facility or company is so matured that emergency planning and business contingency so where I sit here, if engineering has its own emergency plan, HR has its own emergency plan, security has its own emergency plan. So each department, quality, each department has a BCP, business contingency plan. All right. To say, okay, today we have 3 generators working. If one should shut down, appropriately, what should we do? If one should shut down based on defects, what should we do? If the 3 generators should shut down at once, what should we do? All right. If the underground water that we're using in the factory gets polluted, what should we do as engineering department? If the air compressor stop working, what should we do? At times, the answer is in outsourcing. So if the water is polluted, what should we do? I can't turn myself to water now. It's go and buy the water. Okay. But the question is, where will you buy the water from? Have you identified companies that can supply water to you ASAP? Have you taken time to check their own facility? I'm sure that you are not even, having the same issue in terms of groundwater pollution. Do you have an in-house water test kit so that if the supplier bring the water, you can test to see its conformity with maybe the NESRA water water hygiene level, or even the WHO level, the World Health Organization. All right. So when we say matured company or organization in terms of emergency plan and business continuity, we're saying that kind of company or organization has emergency preparedness and business continuity plan embedded across each department, not on an organization-wide level. It's on departmental level. And at the end of the day, when you bring everything together, the department actually form the organization, right? Then you have a full and detailed business continuity plan. And as the FM in that kind of organization, what you need to do is to ensure that you participate in the risk assessment so that you are sure that nothing is left behind. All right. And you participate even in the drill, in the trainings, and in the planning. Finally, you need to support this contingency plan and make sure that on an annual basis, every year at a minimum, the BCP is revised. Next slide. So these are some of the benefits that is going to bring to the organization. All right, so you can read up the benefits. Okay. Next slide. All right. So we're saying that when there is an emergency, we need to focus on people, environment, assets, and reputation in that order. The people, because we need to safeguard them, not just physically, but also psychosocially, their mental health. We also have an incident and, some people, would not be able to close their eyes, and they'll be, exposed to some other mental infringement or challenges because of the incident that happened, in their presence or something they've witnessed. So it might also mean that we need to, engage medical personnel that can actually, counsel such people depending on the emergency that has happened. All right. If you have been in a place where maybe there is an emergency such that machine actually cut off someone's hand, or someone fell from height right in your presence, or a vehicle, drove over a child right in your presence, those kind of things can be traumatic. All right. And you can be suffering from some trauma disorder, or what have you. So you might then need to also be psychologically balanced. You need to speak to a counselor or a medical practitioner to be able to counsel you properly and put you in the right frame of mind. Okay, so same thing goes for the environment, where we need to ensure that the environment is protected from pollution and contamination, so that the natural resource is made available to us, to everyone, whether they work for us or they don't work for our organization. And in doing this, it means that there must be some form of control, must stabilize essential processes within the business. And also, assets are also tangible or intangible assets. So when I say tangible, those ones you can see, the equipment, the building, the vehicles and what have you. At times the assets may be intangible, such as data, information and data. All right, you might not be able to see them, or loss of information, maybe due to cyber attack or due to a burnt data room, can also be costly. All right, and that you need to watch. And we also need to ensure that the organization's reputation, the image of the company, well protected, and the company can come back to life as soon as possible. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we're looking at the risk management process. Remember, you need to plan, you need to do, you need to check, and you need to act. Okay, so when you are planning, what do? You identify and assess the risks. You identify the ones I showed you the last time, where you have to identify the exposures. Two, can you please go back? Can you please go back and stay on the page? Two, you need to look at the critical processes and assets that are in place. And after that, you need to develop risks. You need to develop a risk strategy and implement a management plan. And whatever you're seeing, please evaluate, monitor, and revise accordingly. And make sure that there is internal and external communication. Okay. Should we go on break now, or we should continue?
Okay, sir. We can go on a 5-minute break now, and come back at 6 p.m. or dot. I think that's fine,
okay.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
and can fight them head on. That's my kind of person. So since I were not aware of it, I felt I should not have broken it. She understand.
So is that a broad receipt for you that you said it's not the person that they paid to?
Him. You ask so much.
Okay, sir. We're back from break, sir.
You are back?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, guys. Let's continue. Next slide. Next slide, please. Or next page, yeah. Okay. Is anyone out? Is everyone back in class, or is anyone out of the class now? Everyone back in class, right? Okay. So I need to talk about this ETA, the event threat analysis. And guys, I need you to focus or just give me attention for about 5 minutes. Okay. So look at the table on the left hand side where you have event stroke threats. You have your ABC and of course D before the RPN, the ranking priority number. Okay. Are we there together? So this is an example of an accounting firm. All right, what we have here is a simple office, is a routine in a firm that faces some couple of threats, or we call emergencies, within their workspace. All right, and the emergencies are listed on the first column, where you have water supply interruption exceeding 4 hours. I don't really know what they're doing with chemicals, but to an extent, there was a risk of chemical spillage within that building. So apparently, the company is not the only one using the building. Okay. Then there is a risk of power outage exceeding 4 hours. Where they are located, hurricane can actually happen. The database can be lost. There could be cybersecurity attack. That they will be able to recover for more than 4 hours. Of course, there could be winter. In our case, maybe flood. If your office is somewhere around Lekki, Aja, or Lekki Ekpe Express, so Lekki Aja axis, there could be, flood situation that will prevent you from having access, to the office. All right. As in case of these guys, it's winter. There could be theft, and there could be sudden loss of key personnel. So I will use this table to explain both the reactive and the proactive parts. The reactive being the emergency preparedness, and the proactive being the business contingency planning. All right. All right. So what this company then looks at is the probability of occurrence. All these things we have listed as our possible emergencies, can they actually happen? Which one of them can materialize? Which one can actually, result in a consequence? Then 2, speed of or how fast will it start? In some texts, they call it ease of detection. All right. How easily can we detect it? Number 3, existing controls or mitigation. Now, before we even ask for help, what are those things that we currently have as a business, as a company, as our strength? So you are doing your SWOT analysis, your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis, and you're asking yourself, as a company, what are those things that we have? Within our fire class the other time, we spoke about you having fire extinguisher, having fire hydrant, having smoke detector, having maybe sprinkler system, having FM 200, for suppression. Maybe your housekeeping is top notch, so you don't have things that can just quickly catch fire or burn. You don't have poor housekeeping situation in your company. Maybe the material of construction is made of glass and brick, so that it doesn't really conduct heat so easily. All right. What again? Level of awareness. People are aware of the triangle of fire, the fuel, the ignition, stroke heat, and the oxygen. So it's not about temperature, it's about the heat level. All right. So the ignition source, what is bringing the heat to the to the triangle? What fuel do we keep here? Is oxygen available in this space? You are asking yourself, and you say that people are knowledgeable around fire. People are knowledgeable about what they need to do, how to operate the fire extinguisher. You've got the fire extinguisher, you service the fire extinguisher on time and in full. You have the smoke detectors, you have the suppression system in place, you have fire marshals on every shift. Not that the people that came in the morning, maybe the FTs or whoever, people that came in the morning, they know how to operate the extinguisher, they know how to operate the fire system. And people that then work at night don't even know, what to do. All right. So those are things that you ask yourself that where are we? What's the ease of detection? How easily can you know if this happens? All right. So ease of detection, or what is speed of onset, is very critical, as well as the existing controls, existing mitigation, existing things within the workspace, and of course the severity, or what we call the impact. How bad will it be? All right. And be honest with yourself. You can carry out this task or this exercise with the team. Remember, I told you that for emergency planning and business continuity, it's not just about facility managers. The finance team should be there. The HR should be there. Your logistics team should be there. All right. Your engineering team should be there. Your HSC team should be there. Or EHS, whatever you call them. Right? You should have your security team should be there. You have people from different departments. Your legal team should be there. Your operations team should be there. They should send a representative, and you guys constitute maybe a 10-man emergency preparedness and business continuity team. You're not the one that will fight the fire, but you're the one carrying out the strategic aspect of this module, of this program, to say what can go wrong. Can we list the possible emergencies? Use brainstorming session. Don't go on email. Bring them together in a room. Have a white marker board. All right. Approach the board with a marker. Let people talk freely, and no idea is stupid. You'll be shocked that something you've not seen before, something you've not thought of before, can be brought to the table because you have a team talking about it. Let your medical guy be there. If you have an in-house clinic, bring in the nurse or the doctor. If you are registered with or if the company is using an external hospital, can you create a session for 2 hours and invite one of the medical personnel to join you for that brainstorming session? What are those events? What are those emergencies? Then let's start to rank them. Under probability, ask yourself, is it likely? Or ask the team, is it likely? All right. Is it possible? More 50-50. Is it probable? More than 50%. What's the chance? Between 0 and 1. What's the probability? If it's unlikely, if the chance is low, so that is as if you are saying low, medium, high. Okay, guys. So it's like saying low, medium, high. Low is 1, medium is 2, high is 3. Red, yellow, or red, amber red, amber, green. If you tell me that it is low, that means you're saying Kolapo, there's no action we need to take. Or Kolapo, if there's no money, we are fine.
So where are you going? Are you going now? I am going now.
Please, can you be on mute? Please, can you be on mute? Then speed of onset. How fast can you detect it? How fast can it happen? If it's a case of flooding, for instance, the water will start building up gently. So you will see that there's a gradual build-up of water. If it's a case of blackout, if you're in Nigeria, nobody's going to tell you that, oh, in the next 10 minutes, the power outage is going to occur. No, it's just happened. And when it's going to come back again, we all shout up NEPA. All right? So speed of onset is key. Existing mitigation. What are those things you have in place that will make you come back to life, that will make you return to normal operation so quickly? And if there is a loss, what is the impact of the loss? What's the severity of that loss? You rank between 1 and 3 across board, and you multiply. So the final number you're having there, the threat ranking index that is there, which is basically the risk prioritization number, RPN, is a multiplication of each of the number on or the numbers in each of the boxes. So 1 times 3 times 3 is 9, times 2 is 18. All right? And you populate everything here. Now, for proactive measure, emergency planning, look at the biggest numbers. After multiplying, look at the biggest bucket, all right? And you can see for free that for this organization, sudden loss of key personnel is going to eat them the most. Meaning that they have 1 or 2 guys or a couple of guys that are highly skilled. Maybe they are specialized and there's no backup. If those guys should resign, so when I say loss, we're not talking of death. It could be a jackpot syndrome. Somebody leave the business. You know, I have a situation at hand like that somebody just met me on Monday and said, engineer, I'll be leaving. I thought the guy was joking. The guy sent me a resignation letter. And I'm asking myself, why did I leave it this late? All right. But of course, as of last month, everybody seems happy. As at February, we all seem happy. And in March, I don't know what changed. The guy, you know, has been withdrawn. You know, and I have tried to, you know, manage him. Of course, he wasn't angry at me. He was angry at someone else, and he felt doesn't just take a bow and just leave the business. Okay? But the guy works for me. All right. So it means that I need to wear 2 hats, maybe for the next 3 months or thereabouts. But again, in some organizations, we don't even have backup. We don't even have people understanding the other person because the workload on each one of us is so high, so much. All right. So what am I saying? Yes, for me, we're gonna adapt. All right. Almost everything the guy is doing, I think I know, and the ones I don't know, I know who knows. All right. So it's not going to be a big deal. All right. But for some other organizations, it's actually a big deal. All right. So loss of a key personnel, the guy resigning, the guy moving on to another company or another country may be a serious issue. Okay. And if it is, then there is a problem. So as a facility manager, what are you supposed to do? You've listed the emergencies that can happen, including somebody resigning from your organization. All right. And you need to act. depending on what you do, there could be some risks of kidnapping, theft, banditry, or what have you. From your threat ranking index, you have seen the events or emergencies with the highest number. And those are the ones you should pay attention to. What do I mean? Prioritization. You may not have all the resource, you may not have all the money to fix all your problems at once. But there is a phased approach. You can have a 3-year plan, a phased approach, what we call a master plan, right? On how you want to achieve each of your objective on an annual basis. So you've costed the mitigation measures or things you need to put in place, and it's about maybe 30 million naira. And by budget, you only have 10 million to spend a year. All right. Again, depending on the on the seriousness, severity, on your risk exposure, you may decide to go into partial reinforcement, meaning that you spend the money across maybe 5 different projects, even though you know the money. So maybe the 5 projects requires 30 million or 25 million. So instead of spending the 10 million on just one emergency prevention, which may not end up materializing, you may decide to spread the money across the 5 exposures and do it in a phased mode or partial mode. So what do I mean? You have maybe 5 key personnel that can actually leave anytime. All right. So instead of training or sending another 5 people on training, you may decide to say, okay, let's send just 1 or 2 people on training, and so we can have some money available to install CCTV camera or to raise the fence or to get physical security guard to prevent or minimize issue of theft, or to put a system in place, an automated system in place, to safeguard, theft issue within your operation. As you're doing that, you may also be looking at, okay, there's possibility of us losing database for more than 4 hours. So what do we need? Do we need to have a UPS, or do we need to have a battery backup solar system that can take us for under 4 hours or 8 hours or something? I mean, when I say take us, I mean that can help us keep the data center, your server, uptime for maybe about 8 hours. What am I saying? So as against spending all the money to train people because there is a high risk of key personnel loss, you may decide to invest part in that, part of the money in theft, part of the money maybe to buy generator because there's power outage. All right. But ensure that that generator can actually power the database so you can use one stone to kill 2 birds. All right. And you may want to also have like an SLA with a company in terms of water supply, or you want to dig borehole. But again, if the issue is about underground water contamination, then digging borehole does not solve your problem. So you need to have a budget for you to be able to buy potable water in case you have such emergency. Then year 2, you repeat. Year 3, you repeat. And in 3 years, you've been able to spend about 30 million to solve your problem, as against solving 1 problem per year. You spread the solution across, in bits. And even when you're spreading in bits, you need to have a breakdown of what actually you want to do. For instance, theft prevention. If you have a warehouse or you work in an organization and yes, there are issues of theft, robbery or something, you need to ask yourself, what are the layers of protection? So do you need to have physical guards, uniform guards? That's what I mean. Do you need to have a system, an access control system, so that, such that if you don't have an enabled ID card, you can't even come into the facility. If you come into the facility, you don't have access to some areas. For instance, as I speak to you, I don't have access to the warehouse, even though I work as a project manager. All right, because I don't have a business going to the warehouse. To go and do what? I don't have a business going to the warehouse. However, if I want to enter the warehouse, I can always call the manager and he authorized that I should be given access. Or I just put a phone call through to whoever is on duty, or tell the security guy that is manning the warehouse to call whoever is there, and they sign me in. It's access, so they can't say something has been stolen or something got missing from the warehouse and then mention my name. No, because I don't even have access on my own to the warehouse. You want to implement that kind of control, that there is security access for different people based on different areas they should legitimately work. You can invest money in such. All right. Same thing with power issue and other typical issues that you think are necessary. Okay. So just sit back again. Think about it. What are the emergencies that can occur? I didn't say emergency. I use the word emergencies. If you're in Lagos, Nigeria, there are loads and lots of emergencies that can actually happen. Again, depending on where your office is sited or situated. All right. If you are in other part of the country, there are also other emergencies that are peculiar to us. So if you are in the north, then if you're in Kaduna, I used to be in Kaduna and Kano. Now if you're in those areas, you need to, be extra vigilant in terms of how you travel, how you flaunt your wealth and things like that. Versus if you're in Lagos. If you're in Lagos, we want to go to the top, all right? We want to show the other person that we have arrived. If we try that maybe in Kaduna or some other places in Katsina, you may not actually sleep in your house that night. Okay, so you need to be sensitive to your environment, and again, that should tell how we should plan for our emergencies. All right, if your office is somewhere on the mainland versus being on the island, then flooding situation may speak to you differently. If you have a warehouse in Oshodi versus having a warehouse maybe in a place like maybe Lekki Phase 1 or what have you, the security apparatus, the way you're gonna think about security will differ. An urban supermarket in Lekki would not be designed in quotes the same way as an urban supermarket, in Oshodi or Jota, because of the typical environmental exposures that we'll be having. Okay, so that is about the event threat analysis graph or table. And if you look to the right hand side, you see the 4 quadrants, so the 4 boxes. And this is more so what I did right now with you with the ETA, with the event threat analysis, is what we call a quantitative risk assessment of emergency threats, of threats. So it's quantitative. We're able to multiply 1 by 2 by 3. All right. But if we move to the right hand side, where you have the quadrants, that's X and Y axes and the 4 different boxes. The difference is just that is more or less a qualitative. So we're going to use, we are using experience to say from on the X axis, all right, what's the probability? And on the Y axis, what is the level of impact? Then this again depends on the location. We're saying that is it a low risk because the probability is low, the impact is low? Or is it a medium risk, either because the impact is high, probability is low, or the impact is low, probability is high? Or is it a no-no, that's a high risk, where the impact and the probability are both high. All right. I love the quantitative because again it speaks to numbers. All right. It is not judgmental. Qualitative means that you are using your previous experience, which can be diluted. In Yoruba, you would think in Yoruba, we all have a saying that you think your father's farmland is the biggest until you get to see another person's father's farmland. All right. So you may think you've got the exposure until you are then exposed. So you need to ensure that you strike a balance between the qualitative and the quantitative. Quantitative, especially if we are all rookies, if we are upcoming, if we are not very knowledgeable about these emergencies. But qualitative, though, is usually used by experts. So we go into the experts room and we use judgment tool. We all know, and we don't disagree. We all know that, okay, if an inexperienced unlicensed driver should pick up a car at 7 p.m. From Anthony to VI or from Solo to VI, there is high probability that the guy will not come back the same way he left. Why? It's late in the night, so he's going to be driving at night. He's not experienced, he's not familiar with the road. Maybe rain is falling, and it was a busy road on the day of the event. All right. So by expert judgments, you don't need a prophet, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that that guy has a slim chance of coming home safely. All right. I'm not saying he's going to die, but maybe the vehicle have been bashed. All right. Because the conditions are not right. The person is not experienced, not trained. The vehicle maybe is not even in a good condition. It is, it is dark and wet because it's actually raining and it's late in the night. What again? The road is busy. What again? Maybe the guy is not even familiar with the road. What again? The floodlights, the street lights are not working. All right. So I lost you for like 1 minute.
Yeah, that's true. I couldn't hear you for like a minute.
Okay, so you can move to the next slide. Don't let me overflog this. So you can move to the next slide. Don't let me overflog. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Yes, sir.
Hold on, network. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Yes.
Yes.
We can hear you, sir.
Thank
Continue.
you. Okay. Can you go one slide back? I have a feeling you've skipped something. Yeah. One slide again. One slide back. Okay. So move to the 5 strategies to manage emergencies. Move to the next slide. Okay. So in terms of management of an emergency, there are ways and there are ways. All right. The first one, we call it tolerance. All right. And which means that you are, in quote, not doing anything differently. You're not adding, any other layer of protection. You are living with your existing controls and you are ready to bear the pains And that's why we use the word tolerance, where you tolerate. No, so you are ready to bear the pains, you are ready to bear the outcome of the consequence of the emergency. And this can just be because either your risk tolerance level is high, meaning that from your assessment, you don't feel there's anything wrong with what is going to happen. All right, so you are able to accommodate what's going to happen. All right, or maybe even your loss profile bucket is the net is wide enough, meaning that your company is willing to take some losses. All right, at times this could just be because you have seen, you understand the price that you're going to pay, to prevent the loss from happening versus the compensation of the loss. So I give you an instance. If there is an accident today in Nigeria, in any factory or in any workplace, we can always sort it out. We can always, in quotes, find a way around it versus the amount of money is going to cost to prevent the loss from happening. Because if that's not the case, how do we explain that in Lagos, Nigeria today, you still see high-rise building being built without the right scaffolds being erected around that building with safety nets? How do we explain, seeing people jumping on wooden scaffold on a 10-story building? How do you explain people not, getting the right approvals and they go ahead to build high-rise buildings even in Lagos State, Nigeria? They are tolerating that risk because perhaps the cost of getting the right scaffold and everything is way, way, way higher than the compensation they're going to pay to the family of the guy if he dies. We are such a religious society that we then say God has given, God giveth, God has taken. Which God has taken? You've gone into a workplace as facility manager, you didn't provide the right work tool for the guys. Your company is indifferent to health and safety measures in the workplace. And somebody fall from height, break his neck, die after some days in the hospital, and you then go get their church or his church pastor and now say the Lord has taken it away before evil days. Who say there is an evil day that the Lord has taken it away? The honest truth is that we hide behind, the unregulated environment within the country to practice our evil act, as a business. There's some things we cannot do outside this country, and that's why some of us have refused to travel out. There are some things we cannot do outside this country, and go scot-free. How will you be a safety manager or first manager in an organization and somebody dies under your purview? Somebody slipped and died in your premises, and you are going home. You should go to the police station now. Home care. You go. So if the laws are so rigid, if they are enablers, if they are right laws and regulations in this country, some of us will not even be on this call. We'll be somewhere cooling our feet, trying to explain to the lawyer what went wrong. What am I saying? Tolerance is a strategy in Nigeria, right? And it's a strategy across the globe. But we should, minimize the way we tolerate risks, especially when it's high risks for emergencies. Avoidance, which is quite good, but doesn't make money for the business, which is typically saying that if we can't do it right, don't let us do it at all. But I can tell you for free that maybe apart from the aviation company, it doesn't work that way. Even the aviation guys still try to take the risks. If it's not worth doing. It is pathetic that we allow or we accommodate some of these things when we can actually avoid them. Prevention and mitigation, let me put them together. And this is where we spend some money from education to engineering and to enforcement. Remember when we're talking about the health and safety. When we're in the health and safety class, I said there is what we call the triple E. If I can say we can even add the fourth E now. All right. So there is the education, there is the enforcement, there is the engineering, and let me add the fourth E. There is the empowerment. Can we empower? Can we make people feel in control? Can I be in an organization and I know that if I stop work, if I stop unsafe work, there will be no reprisal, there will be no, penalty. It will be, non-punitive for me. There will be no blame. Can we empower our team, facility managers, business owners on this call? Can we empower our team that these are the typical emergencies that can happen in this place? And guys, you are empowered to stop unsafe acts and unsafe work that you see. Can we then put resources, set aside resources, maybe out of the profits that we've planned, to leverage on the high risks that we have noticed based on the event threat analysis that we've done, and say, guys, things can go wrong. So let us put some money to prevent things from going wrong. And there's one that we all like, which is the transfer or share. That's when we involve the insurance company. So if anything goes wrong, there is group debt insurance, Abby. So we go and get our money there for that guy. And that's why the insurance company also are doing what we call the property loss prevention. When I was in Coca-Cola, when we used to have this audit, the PLP audit, we call it, where the switch engineering company is sent from Switzerland to come and check. I think Coca-Cola group send them to Nigeria to come and check. Of course, there will be an assessment of the insurance premium that we paid. And they check and they tell us, this is your rating. And depending on your score, so there is a score that then dictates, okay, how matured your facility is. And we see whether that service even here in Nigeria, where you have the property loss prevention assessment, the PLPA. When we come, we check your facility based on, the different pillars, from the process to the people to the plant, or what we call the equipment, and of course to your environment. And we come up with, a rating, which is of course quantitative. So say, okay, you're on 69%, you're almost there, but you need to do XYZ to have a better, workplace or facility. However, the insurance guys, in the quest of just looking for accounts, just pick up all facilities and start doing, fire insurance, people, debt insurance, and what have you, as against, checking that processes are actually in place, infrastructures are in place, the people are knowledgeable, and the management style and management commitment is actually there, before we then decide what premium each facility should pay. So it should be risk-based premium payments, and not just a flat rate like we do in Nigeria right now. So what am I saying? Tolerance, avoidance, prevention, mitigation, and transfer are the 5 strategies for us to manage emergencies. We're saying that you need to invest in prevention and mitigation, all right, if you cannot avoid, all right, because tolerance is not quite good, and transfer is reactive. The event will have happened. You can transfer. Imagine you want to work at height, and you now call a work at height specialist company. What you have done is that the people carrying out the job are not your own people. It doesn't take away the fact that people that can die while doing that job. All right. You're only saying that if they die, you are not responsible. All right. And that company can take care of its people the way it wants. And of course, that kind of company will also ensure that its people, against debt, and with the group debt policy, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't take away the fact that the wife can become a widow. It doesn't even take away the fact that the children can become fatherless or motherless, all right, or even orphan. It has only taken away the responsibility. We have only dodged the responsibility by transferring the risks to another company, which is a strategy and is acceptable globally. All right, next slide. Okay, so we're saying that your emergency plan should consist or comprise of the following things. All right. So check if you don't have a plan, it's fine. It's not too late. If you don't have a plan, it's fine. Just but check what you have and see that okay, you're able to sort out this information and put the information in the plan. Next slide. Next slide, please. You can all read this. Okay. Well, no, go back to implementing the plan, please. Okay, so we're saying that when you have this plan and you want to implement a plan, that the plan is visible to everyone. All right, so you should distribute the plan to HODs, relevant head of departments, put the plan, that's the emergency preparedness plan, and the BCP, create like an information corner and have physical copy printed out, spiral binded or put in a folder and dropped at the information corner. So when there is an emergency, anything, then of course, maybe at the bottom of the print, you can say uncontrolled while printed. All right. Mean that if it's printed, then it's not a controlled version. In case maybe you guys are doing ISO 9001 documentation or certification, right? So you need to mark that printed copy as uncontrolled version. Let it be marked as uncontrolled version. All right. But when there is an emergency, people should be able to go in there and reference some things. Very critical and very, some that the contact list on the emergency preparedness documents is very critical to our business continuity. What do I mean? There will be phone numbers in that document, or maybe on one of the appendix, maybe appendix A or appendix 1, you put the phone numbers of fire service, phone numbers of people that can reach out to in case of emergency, including yourself, the HSC guy, maybe you have a fire team, 1 or 2 numbers, the MD, I don't know. So then also neighbors, people that you need to, your neighbors that you need to reach out to in case of emergency. Contact details should be there, the name, the phone number, and maybe the designation or position of that person. All right, this is something that should be easily accessible, in the workplace and should be, also, of course, distributed, to all HODs by maybe soft copy. Okay, then you print the hard copy, mark it on controlled version, and have an information corner where you can keep the folder and make it accessible to everyone. All right, policies should be created and implemented. You may need to add some function or roles into people's job. All right, so you need to review their job description. Remember, there is ownership in emergency response planning, preparedness, and even continuity planning. All right, somebody need to, do something, and so you need to, of course, assign those are responsible, put it in their JD, so they won't think they're just helping the organization, but they should know that they're also playing their part in ensuring that the company continues to exist. So it's not an help. You're not, if I put as a member of my MIC team, you're not helping me. We're helping each other. Even if I'm the owner of the company, If the company ceases to exist, your salary will cease to come, and maybe your debt profile will rise, will increase. All right, so we're all helping each other, and people should not feel entitled. So at this point, there is no sense of entitlement, but should be sense of ownership. One should not feel, oh, I was engaged or I'm employed as a project manager, but I also lead the fire. Yes, if you can lead the fire team, my guy. If you can do this for us, then do it. Because if there is a fire incident and the building is raised down for any of us,
Hello, Engineer Kolapo, are you there? Hello, sir. I think it's obvious that he's having network issues. So let's just wait for a while to have him back on the call.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, hello, Barakat. We can hear you if you are speaking.
Yes, just let's hold on for that. They try to get back in. Yes, I think that's a bit of network interruption. Sorry about that.
sorry guys, I think I have network challenge here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I think I've spoken about the hard copy of the plan, both the emergency preparedness and of course the business continuity plan. The hard copy of the contacts. So I said the phone numbers and everything. Go to the next slide. All right. The phone number should be there. You can also engage them in terms of the plan for each employee, which basically should include the roles they're going to play, during the emergency. If there is succession document, that means that who is the backup of who. So if this is happening for this emergency, these are the people you should contact, these are the things you should do. If the people you should contact are not available, there should be alternate numbers, all right, or alternate persons, not just number. The person may decide to switch off his phone, or maybe he or she is in a location where there's no network. We should have backups that we can call, all right? And if you are to have a contingency kit, right, you should also have, other means. And thank God for the COVID-19 of a thing that made us understand that we can actually collaborate better. We can actually work, we can actually conduct training, even in a remote way. All right. I know before now it would have been that we need to be in a physical class for this kind of program to happen. All right. But for business continuity, you can also, move your office on to Zoom, you move your office to Microsoft Teams, and we still have some productive, connections or collaboration around that. All right. Depending on what you do, there could be need for supplies of maybe food or other personal needs. All right. There could be need for temporary work supply. You need to actually relocate even your office to another. You may just have to rent an office for some time, depending on the extent of damage to the building during the emergency. While you are also then looking at keeping the company running while you try to come back to business in terms of your physical office or even restocking the goods and what have you. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've said a few about this, even in the course of this class. So I think I need to reiterate that some of the things we said in the health and safety class actually matter to us for emergency preparedness. One is that we need to understand the modus operandi. We need to understand the mode of operation of some of these organizations, all right, such as the fire service, the emergency management agencies, even the police, the insurance. We need to understand how it works. Even your medical service center, the hospital you're using, you need to understand. So when there's an emergency, you know the entrance to the hospital. You even know the location of the hospital, not by Google Map, but because you have physically visited those places. So as facility managers, I think I need to reiterate at this point that it is our job to determine or to understand the procedures of these different organizations. And I will encourage us to schedule and actually conduct a visit to these organizations. So go to the insurance company or call the insurance representative, ask whoever is in charge of the insurance thing, whether finance or HR, ask that you speak to the insurance agent. And if you have a robust organization, then you may not need to speak. You may just need to have the contact details, right? Because there's somebody that is carrying out that tax of ensuring that the insurance thing is under control. We also need to understand how and where the fires, how they operate and where they are. I mean, the fire service guys, the station and everything, right? Now, for prevention and mitigation, where you need external suppliers like a vendor, then you need to prepare a vendor list now, not during the emergency. So if, for instance, power can be an issue, where can you rent industrial generators? What kind of generator? How long does it take for them to mobilize to sites? How much will it cost? Those are the information that you need to have, all right, when we are in the period or season of peace. At the time of peace, we need to prepare for war, all right? And that's why at the time of war, we'll be at peace. I said during a peaceful moment, at the time of peace, you prepare for war. So that when there is war, you are at peace, all right? Because you actually have the right information, contact, understanding of the process and procedures, and every other thing. Again, in the workplace, you need to understand the evacuation route, know your fire assembly spots, identify your first responders, which basically know the appoint as part of your emergency planning team, appoint people that can volunteer. And of course, you need to then constitute an emergency response team, ERT. It's different from the planning team. The planning team is strategic. The response team is tactical. They are the ones that will go to the point of the incident and try to make sure that things are put fully under control. All right. So you need to identify them. You need to massage their ego. All right. You need to, when I say massage ego, I mean you need to dignify them. All right. So they are not the cleaners or the gatesmen of this world. Even you as a senior manager should be part of the emergency response team. All right. And you should not be ashamed to carry a fire extinguisher on the day of the incident. You are not here to put your hands in the pockets and give and command people around as if you are the Lord of the Rings. No, you need to participate in whatever we are doing, and you need to show leadership by example. You need to show what we call the felt leadership. You need to join hands with the team to build the team. All right. I said you should also consider alternative workplace. That's if you can't even work, remotely. And you need to develop a plan so that every other person can also be part of the be part of the company. All right. Next slide. Okay. You can read this up again. It says we should, consider other people that can be impacted, and you should have your own plan. So if your supplier also can be impacted, so you can do a third party emergency threat assessment. So what if our major suppliers warehouse got burned? What are we going to do? You must have that kind of mindset and prepare ahead. And SLAs can be in place for alternative vendors. The employees, you must have their database and up-to-date record so that they can be informed. All right. And on at different times, at different periods, please conduct emergency drill just to check their level of preparedness. And in case anything happens, please conduct a thorough investigation. You can use your fishbone analysis, all right, to conduct a thorough investigation and share the learnings with your co-workers and relevant authorities. Next slide, please. Again, remember to test the system, conduct a drill, test the system, conduct a drill, test the system, simulate an emergency, and check how people will respond. Based on the documented expectation, the procedure for the response. Next slide. And we tell ourselves that at a minimum, on an annual basis, you need to evaluate the whole process again. Remember, we started this module this evening by identifying the possible or potential hazards, possible risks that can happen. So please, risks are dynamic, they can change. So don't say because you have a document that was written in 2023, then everything is fine. No. Can you, on an annual basis, check that there are no additional risks? And you do this by evaluating even the risks that you've pre-identified. At times, due to some things. For instance, when Lagos Ibadan Express way has not been, the highway has not been completed, the risks of accidents and even robbery on the highway was higher than what it is now. Okay, or the presence of the police forces along the highway or along Lagos Border Expressway, we have reduced kidnapping incidents versus what it was 2 years ago when we used to hear about the Fulani guys, allegedly, kidnapping people on the expressway. All right. So you need to check whether the risk is the same. If it's the same, is the impact, severity, ease of detection, or speed of onset, as well as probability, and the existing controls, are they all the same? If not, revise. So if I come to your organization, I want to be seeing things, something like the date the document was created, being different from the annual reviews that you've done. And I want to actually see that truly, the before and after, kind of mitigation plans are in place. And we can see that, yes, due to the controls, due to the projects or activities that you have done yourself, there is an improvement on the risk rating. So the risk is now lower versus last year. This and is very important. Check that the policies and procedures are effective. Check that your plans are still aligned with your business or organization strategy. All right. Check that the functions are still there. Ensure that the trainings that you have organized or you're organizing are effective. All right. Look at the vulnerability of the business. And again, what are those things you have done differently in the last couple of years? It may not be you. What are those things that the organization has done differently the last couple of years that will help you, have a better grasp of the risks that you are facing in the workplace? Next slide. Yeah, ask yourself, can I explain what my preparedness is? Do I know those 5 basic approaches to managing risks? Can I identify 10 potential hazards in my workplace and tie that to an emergency event? All right. Can I create a plan for these hazards that I've identified, or the risks I've identified? Do I know the difference between MIC preparedness, which is proactive, versus business continuity, which is reactive? Who are the stakeholders that should engage in the emergency planning committee? All right. What is my role as a facility manager? How will my company benefit from me having a plan? What are the practical approaches to business continuity plan? What should we put in the continuity plan? Then what are the tools, for business continuity? All right. Then I will say that you need to understand the risk strategies and implement them. All right, guys, I think we've come to the end of the class. Thank you so much. I will be willing to stay behind for maybe another 5 minutes to take questions. All right, thank you. Over to you, Baraka. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the enlightening section. I think at this point, we just have anyone signify with the hand raise option if they have any questions. So for the next 5 minutes now, we'll just allow to entertain questions. Kindly signify with the hand raise option so that Engineer Kolako can attend to your question. Thank you.
Anyone, please? Any question? Or is it self-explanatory?
Please kindly signify with the hand raise option if you have any questions, or you can drop them in the chat box so that Engineer Kolako can attend to the question. Okay, Mr. Okay, are you saying something? Mr. Chukwemeka, are you there? Mr. Okay, if you are saying something, we can't hear you. But I would just suggest that you drop your question in the chat box so that Engineer Kolako can attend to it. Thank
Okay. So is it a case of too much information? Hello. Okay, Baraka, I think I need to take my leave. I think the class is now
Okay, I
over.
think
Right, and
there's a
yeah.
message in the chat box from Mr. Chukwemeka. Okay, so he said it's not really a question but an affirmation that the lecture was very clear and explicit, practical to relatable as well. So I think we are good to go. Thank you so much, Engineer Kolako, for the lively session this evening. We hope that each and every one of us will implement what that you've said and become better facility management professionals. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Engineer Kolako. Have a
Thank
great
you so
evening.
much, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.